A massive clean-up is underway in Wairoa following a sudden flood when the Wairoa River unexpectedly burst its banks the morning after Cyclone Gabrielle. The worst hit area was North Clyde, the river spilling over at the Showgrounds Park, the same place it breached its banks during Cyclone Bowler in 1988. When the Gisborne Herald visited the town this week, we were met with scenes of devastation. Michelle McIlroy's house in North Clyde and her 84-year-old mother's house beside it were the first in the firing line when the river leapt its bank at a bend by the showgrounds about 6 a.m. and made a beeline for the sea. 400 houses were inundated, half of them uninsured, the occupants typically in a low socio-economic group. Most were mana whenua, Mrs. McIlroy said. They were born and raised in the area like their family before them, so they wouldn't want to leave. Diggers and work crews are now trying to unearth properties from the brown wasteland of silt that has blanketed the entire area like a war zone, Mrs. McIlroy says. She and her mother might be able to return to their homes, which were surprisingly only yellow-stickered, not fully condemned. They're among a group sheltering at their marae, which was unaffected by the flood and has teamed up with Wairoa District Council to become a hub for the recovery effort. They're currently churning out 600 meals a day for hungry volunteer workers. Mrs. McIlroy said the silent, creeping way in which the flood suddenly advanced was weird.
And it was quiet. It wasn't like he saw the rushing rivers down the bay. It was creeping. It was quiet. If you were asleep, you'd kill it, because you wouldn't have known it was there till it was in your house. So lucky my sister got up. We took off. I tried to ring 111 twice. No power. Can't ring. No coverage. Cell towers were gone. We couldn't ring 111. So we had to save ourselves and the rest. So as we took off, my sister was helping my mother and my other sister, who took us down there, and as I was going, the river was following us. So I came down to the middle of this road, ran into their place straight, beeping my horn, telling everybody to get up. There was somebody outside, told them, tell the neighbours, get out, because the emergency's not going to come.
The flood was nothing like Bowler, which she remembered from her 20s. There was no rain. It was low tide. Full tide wasn't until about 12:30 that day. She and her sister had been river people all their lives. They'd checked on the river the night before, and it was low. But that following morning, all of a sudden, was a different story. Wairoa's Mayor, Craig Little, is vowing to stop any repeat of the floods that inundated North Clyde and other nearby areas in the town during Cyclone Gabrielle. He was confident he knew exactly where the Wairoa River had breached its banks and that it was the same place where a breach happened during Cyclone Bowler in 1988. He wouldn't be drawn on questions as to whether lessons previously learned in Bowler had been applied since. He said his focus was on the clean-up, but he certainly wanted to find out what went wrong.
Yeah. So basically over here in the showgrounds, the river does a big bend and it's come straight across there.
So it's broken through a stop bank? Or
broken through a stop bank. They say it's the original riverbed, or the way it used to go. Rivers always want to go straight.
Yes.
So if you get a bit more water, it'll come over. So we might look at things like stock banks and things like that, and they've spoken about that before, so now more urgency than ever. Now this example over here, there's a guy with a house, he's just built it. Unfortunately he lost his home, and he built that one, and he's built it up, but he built it up on a lot higher, but an inch under. So it's just, but this can't happen again. And we didn't need to know why. We knew Cyclone Gabrielle was coming, but we need to know why it just went boof like this.
He said he was happy with the organisation of the clean-up effort. The mongrel mob has delivered a truckload of food and monetary donations for flood-stricken families in Wairoa. Bronson Tither is the president of the mongrel mob's Wairoa chapter. He was in Hawke's Bay to be with his children when the cyclone struck, learning how severely parts of his hometown were also hit. Mr. Tither met with the president of the Barbarians chapter in Hastings, who also has strong ties to Wairoa.
Communicated with a few of the other leaders around the country, and Brother Baldy and Maki too. A lot of the Bay of Plenty region donated most of this kai and the Barbarian whānau. Yeah, and we just sort of teed up in different locations around the countryside and made a 13-hour trip to make it here. So we had to go towards Palmy, come back up through Tūrangi, stayed the night in Rotorua. We got some supplies in Rotorua. Then went through to Maketu where there was a couple of trailer loads waiting.
Donations included money, all sorts of groceries, chilled goods and water. They were delivered to Mr. Tither's home marae, Ruataniwha, in North Clyde, where his mother, Katarina Edwards, is the manager. She and helpers have since been busy sorting the items into boxes and bags, which Mr. Tither and others have been taking to flood-stricken whānau, volunteer workers and kaumātua.
I don't think anyone was prepared for how big the effects were going to be. You know, I thought after the storm I'll jump back in my car and come to Wairoa. And yeah, that's not possible anymore.
Mr. Tither said the behaviour of some gang members, as claimed in national media, was unacceptable. He knew leaders wouldn't be authorising it.